Hello, my friends, and welcome to another week's episode of the Terry McGriff Show, man. It's just so great to be here, great to be alive. Another good week. Starting to get some good weather here in sunny Jacksonville, Florida. I'm just happy, man. Got my partner over here, the illustrious Andre L. Sullivan, sitting over there once again in those beautiful iHeart studios, man. How you doing, Andre?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed, and I'm still here, so what's up?
I'm doing good, man. Everything's going good. The weather's going good. Life is good, man. And I'm just tripping on how some people be tripping on other people when they don't say something that they don't like, man. We got a crazy show to start out this show with. We got some good topics, but we got to always try to pay some homage to our nice sponsors. Met with a new possible sponsor this week already today. And then we're talking about our great sponsors like Watch Game Film, She Car, Women's Tackle Football League, and also Team Sports Wear Direct. But, man, we just doing some stuff out there trying to keep this community going, keep things positive. Also got to pay some tributes to my boys over there at Laces Out and along the DEMP project. But, yeah, man, it was just, going through your talk radio. I watched some, you'll watch some of the other talk shows, sports talk shows like Stephan A. Smith with on that First Take on ESPN. And then we'll also, just listen to some of the local people here. But, when people talk about your city and they don't give you everything you like to hear, people kind of get their panties in a bunch, so to speak. So we're going to talk about that. There was some local media here got upset about some Stephan A. Smith's comments about Jacksonville, Florida. Also, we want to get into some of what we've talked about, some of the most underrated players in this draft. I think people not really, they're kind of sleeping on them. I know you talked to me about doing that. Again, let's kind of continue with that. And then we want to talk about the teams most likely to do some trading, especially trade down. There's been some rumors that, some people might do that. Now we're going to get into that a little bit. I think this time there's some intriguing stuff going on. Also wanted to talk about the big rumor that, once again, we got those rumors about Kyle Pitts possibly being the third pick, not necessarily being a quarterback. So we'll jump right on into this stuff and see how good another show we can get on to our fans. Once again, fans, if you like our content, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, support our sponsors, and we really appreciate you. But yeah, man, this is what I was telling you about earlier. Stephan A. Smith on his show on First Take this morning was asked about, because the Jaguars have a first pick in the draft, about Trevor Lawrence and about Jacksonville in general, about the possible changes. And first thing out of his mouth, he said, "I don't give a damn about Jacksonville." and basically that was his point, and basically, and I took about it was there was nothing that we've done in the city to really take notice of because of the losing and stuff like that. And, a lot of people just kind of got their panties in a bunch here locally on some of the other talk shows. I think, in my opinion, until we do something that makes us worthy of talking about, I can understand why some bigger market cities. Plus, he was doing it as a ploy. You're going to get the other bigger market cities laughing about little old Jacksonville. So you got to understand the game. And that's just my opinion on it. What you think?
First of all, understand something. And I've told you this in private, because I've been in media for quite some times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people understand what how the hierarchy and the concept of sports talk shows.
Don't give away the secrets.
And I'm not. But the biggest thing that people have to understand is that the job of any sports media person, whether it be through TV, whether it be through radio, whether it be through publication and writing, is to get you to respond. That, like, if we did that, literally, we will clap ourselves up, pat ourselves on the back, and say, "Job well done, you idiot." And so, congratulations to the idiots that responded, because that's what they did their job. They probably should send Stephen A. Smith a thank you card for giving them content to talk about on their awful show. But that's not my point. But my point is that Stephen A. Smith's job, at the end of the day, before that camera cut off, is to give you a big something to remember. What you choose to remember is on you and you alone, because you're the takeaway. He talks, you take stuff away.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you feel some type of way,
you feel some type of way. Yep.
I'm one of the biggest Jaguar fans that sits in that media room, and I probably shoot shots at the Jaguars more than almost other people in the media room who want to be, apologists for things that they do. And like I said, I love the Jaguars. I root for that logo to the day I die. But I also have a job to do, and unlike a lot of other media people who choose to just tell you the good side of the story, I want to tell you real rap raw, and they respect you for that. I've been in true story.
Go ahead.
I've been in the locker room and had a player come to me and say, "I heard what you said on your show." That's how you feel? That's how you feel? By the way, that player was Miles Jack. Guess what he did? He was like, "Okay, I'm going to get 10 tackles for you today." He didn't get 10 tackles, but at the end of the day, he can respect me for being a man and saying this and that, because they respect you being honest. Now, if you just go out there and start talking dog crap about everybody, they don't want to hear that. But I'm gonna give you the good, the bad, the ugly. That's just me personally. There are those that exist in our market who just give you the good, and they sound ugly and bad. If you feel some type of way about it, change the narrative. It's your show. Guess what? I don't think people realize this when they do podcasts, talk show. You decide what's important, people.
I know I do on my show.
So, if you're mad about what Stephen A. Smith said on ESPN, go get a job at ESPN. See if you can take a spot.
And I feel you exactly. I'm 100% agreement. And I also have to people to understand in this area. I do sports business outside of just this show around this area, and if you're not in their good old boy network, you can get the cold shoulder coming into this market. Now, they won't speak on that. The local media guys won't speak on how that they got their little buddies, and anybody else that comes in this town can't get a cold drink of water on a 90-degree day, and they about to die because you feel like you might be some type of threat to certain people in this media. And so they don't want you to so-called thrive. God only knows what it is like trying to be an African-American journalist in this city. Yeah, I see you shaking your head.
There's only 6 of us.
Yeah, and every time you go to the outings, you're always kind of looked at and just walk by. Nobody slays and shakes your hand, and but they don't want to talk about that. But so if you do to people here in your own neighborhood like that, we can just imagine what you do to some of the people who are not in your neighborhood. And then he already had a bad taste in the mouth because some people were treated during the Super Bowl. And a lot of people don't forget that. A lot of these media hold on to grudges. And that's just a fact. Media people hold grudges. You know what I mean? Ask Terrell Owens. Well, did I say Terrell Owens? Yeah, people hold grudges. And that's why he did what he did. So don't act like when somebody says something about you or about your city that you're squeaky clean and you had nothing to do with it. You don't. They might be talking to you about personal feelings and also about how they were treated when they came to this city. And then when they got a national platform and they say something narrative about the city, first of all, like you said, they just gave you some free content to talk about. Secondly, you might want to take a look at yourself because sometimes you might be actually wrong in that situation. How many, and then think about all the media guys that played for the Jaguars that are now doing national radio shows, national broadcast shows, NFL Network. That still don't sit here and sing the praises of the Jacksonville Jaguars unless it's in their best interest. Obviously, that goes a lot to do with the things of how things went on in Jacksonville. Also, the team that has not given us and given the media anything to say good about the team for basically the most part of the last 20 years. Since 2000, this team has been a dumpster fire. It's the facts. I mean, incompetence across the board. You know what I mean? You bring in a linebacker that's one of the best pass rushers, and you make him go in coverage. You get a guy that's supposed to be a pass rusher, you make him into you put him into a doggone you put him into a linebacker. You put an inside linebacker, an outside linebacker, the inside linebacker. You do experiment. You got a guy who's just so loyal. He knows guys are not doing a good job and won't change. You got a guy that only knows how to coach one style of defense, but won't change and won't bring somebody in to let him learn and use the personality he got. How you expect when people put it on when they circle them, knowing that they're gonna count that as a win on their marker? That's disrespectful, and you don't do nothing about it. And you play favoritism, and you play politics inside the building, and then you mistreat your own players, so they're glad to leave you. So what you expect people to think about it, especially when all they know is what they see and hear from the people inside the building talking bad about you?
Well, first let me say, I think people got to understand, even if all of that stuff is true, and some of it I agree with, some of it I don't.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, all of it is relative.
Mm-hmm.
And
good content.
Sports talk at its best, if you're not speaking in stats or film, is an opinion. And listen, Stephen A. Smith is Stephen A. Smith, and he's unapologetic about it. I often go back to in the 2019 season, I was on a show called The Telltale Game.
Mm-hmm. And love that show.
And me and my co-host, we went back and forth on several subjects that pertain to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was one particular show where I said, and honestly, at the time, I was making a joke just to get a reaction out of people. I said Miles Jack probably won't stay on the field too long this season, and it was a shot in the dark. Literally, me just trying to make up content because we were running long or running short that week, and I was just, I'm just saying it because who gonna check me except my program director? Like, I really don't care. And literally, our phones lit up the moment I said it. People want to call me and tell me how stupid I am. Oh my God, how dare you, Mr. Sullivan, say that our best linebacker at the time won't stay on the field. He's been a model citizen to the community. Literally that day, Miles Jack goes and gets hurt. Out for the rest of the season. I can't make this stuff up, people. We listen. We do this on purpose. By the way, I'm not a psychic. I can't look into the future. I'm not related or dating Miss Cleo. I just said something to get a reaction out of you. That's it. That's what Stephen A. Smith did. That's what any good sports analyst or media person will do. And kudos to Stephen A. Smith for helping out a few Jacksonville journalists on their show.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And as the old Don King saying, whether you love me or hate me, as long as you tune the hell in, that's all I care about. And that's the name of the game, because at the end of the day, we're paying for that. The advertisers is what we want. We want your eyes so that we can get paid from the advertisers. And let's move on to our next topic, because we ain't finna give Stephen A. Smith or the rest of these other guys too much time on our show. I want to talk about this draft. I'm so excited about the draft, partly because there's basically a reset with the team. I'm not excited about the team, but I'm excited about the possibilities of having some competent people in this building, competent people in the front office, competent people on the staff, competent people on the field, especially at the quarterback spot. No disrespect to Gardner Minshew. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I just don't see him as a franchise quarterback at the level of Trevor Lawrence. And some people disagree with Trevor Lawrence. I just happen to be thinking he's out of what's on the board this year. I think he's by far the best. Do I see him as the next John Elway? No, I see him maybe as a tier below that, John Elway, Peyton Manning. But I think he could be, with the right people around us, could get us to the playoffs. And, he definitely could be the best quarterback in this franchise's history. That's not saying that by any stretch of the imagination, because by far still the best quarterback that we've had has been Mark Brunell. And the sad part about it, Gardner Minshew came in the last couple of years and broke a few of his records, touchdowns in the season, type of things like that. But, So it's not like he threw a lot of yards when he was here, but he was on the winningest teams while we were here. But these there's going to be a lot of teams I think going to do some trading during the draft, and even maybe a couple of days before the draft. We're about a little over 2 weeks out now, and we've already had a ration of trades. Right now, there's rumors about the Falcons now getting requests to trade their pick. So it's going to be interesting. One of the teams I think will be going there, and again, I think Philadelphia is going to be one of those teams that do trading again because I know a lot of the stuff that they're talking about. They got so many needs. They want to just trade down and get more picks, and I could see them trading down on that 12th pick and trying to pick up because they're in the means. One of the rumors I've heard, people I know up there is thinking they're in the means for getting a defensive back, and there's several going to be available. And when they pick down in the mid-teens or stuff like that. So that's one of the teams. Also, we've heard about Dallas doing the same thing and possibly even Denver. Denver could go up or down because they have the number 9 pick. But it's going to be interesting because they think if they can get up to get a quarterback, they might try to jump up.
Well, so I don't really put stock into who, jumps down, goes up, pays to go down, and pays to go up. Just because the draft, again, is a Russian roulette of humans, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously going to be a lot of, I will say, shaking and moving this year. The Patriots just lost one of the best receivers they've had in a while. So expect to see them obviously go up and do something crazy. Like you just mentioned, or alluded to, the Philadelphia Eagles will probably be in the midst. Of course, Atlanta Falcons. Listen, everybody's getting calls right now.
Mm-hmm.
If a GM right now is telling you he's getting calls, he's lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
Just because right now, this is the busiest time for a GM. Of course, you got the season, and they're always doing something. But this is the busiest time for any general manager of all 32 NFL franchises. Now, with that being said, when it comes to draft day, if you ever saw the movie Draft Day, a couple of things were true about that movie. One, whoever directed it probably should never direct another film. Number two, the craziness of the day is so accurate.
That's spot on, yeah.
I will give them that. Manipulating, well, not manipulating.
Even the time of the morning when they're getting calls.
Right. Just the way that they have to become accountants, directors, and basically facilitators all in one set of 24 hours is crazy. In 24 hours, that's just day one.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's crazy. The draft is, I think that's why everyone enjoys the draft. It's organized chaos. Mm-hmm. And so, these next couple of weeks will be very, very hectic for all 32 teams.
Yeah, what makes the draft fun is it's like another reason to get together, talk football. You really can't be wrong or right because it's all matter of opinion. Nobody knows exactly what anybody's going to do until that card is pulled and that name is called. We can all speculate and we can pat ourselves on the back when we're right and kind of like, hey man, I thought this is what they're going to say when we're wrong, and it really doesn't mean that. But what it does offer us a good time and another reason to celebrate our great game of football. And it's just a fun time to do. And it's great to speculate because you're in the middle of where there is no football. So it kind of gives you something to do, which that's what makes it fun. I'm surprised ain't nobody made no fantasy football draft kind of thing where you betting on that now. That's probably the next thing, somebody try to do, make money off of that. But it is definitely a good time. I mean, the sports bars and all that and the restaurants really love that weekend because they make a ton of money. People bringing in everybody coming in and, getting everything that they want to do, get their alcohol sales up. So I enjoy it. I enjoy the parties. And matter of fact, hopefully we might be doing one of our own. And we'll talk about that more next week as we see what happens with that possibility. But man, I just tell you, I think that it is fun listening to the people talk about the different trades, talk about the moving up, even with your own team when you gotta to playing just playing quasi GM, what you would do if you got this call. I mean, you're even talking about trades now that, like I said, we've been hearing about the rumor mill. Now the trade, they had the Darren, what we talked about last week, the Darren Waller, the Jaguars trying to trade for him. Now there's a rumor about Zach Ertz, but there's just that's just that time of year. Now, preferably, I think unless he's just that beat up or he's not that good anymore, I think the Jaguars should go try to sign Delaney Walker off the street because nobody still hasn't picked him up. And he was a Jaguar killer. He might be a little old in the tooth, but if he's got something left, that'd be somebody you can probably pick up for cheap. That's just me because right now there's nothing in that tight end room, and at least maybe get somebody in there to provide some decent leadership in the tight end room. Unless I'm wrong, because I see that look, and I don't see it. I don't know any tight ends of note in that room right now.
Listen, I just think everyone. It's just a personal opinion. I think everyone sleep on James O'Shaughnessy as a tight end just because he hasn't been healthy. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's just personal opinion.
No, I love James O'Shaughnessy. But that's the problem. I always say, he's always been hurt, and I always tell people, what's the difference between a sorry player and an injured player? Nothing. Neither one of them on the field. So you can't make the club in the tub. So that's my only issue. That Fred Taylor had that for a little while till he shut that fragile stuff. But injuries can be, the fickle thing. I mean, Carson Wentz got traded because his injury situation, and then his place a call decline. But it is what it is. But I still think you need a little bit more personnel in that room. And I don't know if O'Shaughnessy would be the guy that would give you that leadership if you brought in one of those young tight ends out of the draft. Because there's several good tight ends that you can get in the second and third rounds this year that I think that the Jaguars should be going after. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in our unsung guys. So that's what we're talking about there. We'll just roll right into that, Speaking of that, we want to talk about some of our unsung guys. You're talking about that, and I'm going to let you lead off on that. Who do you have?
Yeah, I got a couple for you today. First off, I'm going to start off with a guy from the defending national championship team.
Alabama.
And I'm not going to talk about the Heisman Trophy winner that everyone is for some reason sleep on. I don't get that personally, but that's another conversation. I'm going to talk about the guy that played on the other side of him.
Ooh, I think I know who you're talking about.
That is Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is amazing. Now his junior year, he broke his heel and his ankle, so he had to sit out that season. But he came back this season, and you would have never thought he missed a step, just because of who he is as a player. And
you mean last year?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, but because he was out mostly this year.
Yeah, and the thing about this kid, one, he's 22, so he was literally one of the older players in the room. Mm-hmm. He stands at 5'10" and he's 183, but you don't know it how he plays. Just because he will go across the middle. He will go up to get the ball. And, he got hurt because people don't know how to tackle and rolled up his foot. Mm-hmm. But
First game.
Right. It was one of those just it sucks, it happened type deals. But honestly, the way he played, and he plays special teams. Mm-hmm. Like, don't sleep on this guy. And he only got 28 receptions this year, 591 yards. But that's just because of the guy on the opposite side of him was just a Heisman Trophy winner. You can't help that sometimes. But yeah, a guy like Jalen Waddle on anyone's team instantly got a boost. Another guy who's getting slept on just because of the fact that no one seems to care about the running back position nowadays is Javonte Williams from North Carolina. And when I look at Javonte Williams from North Carolina, I see a James Conner, Le'Veon Bell type player, and who's not afraid to run between the tackle and the guard, or the guard and the center. He has great hands outside of the backfield, can burn you if need be. But the problem matter, he played in the ACC with North Carolina. So, I mean, North Carolina is known for another sport, not football. So he wasn't going to get the look he deserved. But at the end of the day, if you saw him play in the Senior Bowl, where you had the top players play. If you turn on the film, you see a baller, and Javonte Williams just when he touches the ball, hopefully you're not up going to the bathroom.
Yeah,
because he's taking it to the bar. He's taking it to the bar, and so those are the two guys right now that if you've gotten your big numbers in the first round or late in the first round, and all the big guys are off the board, and those two pop up, hey, you're not missing if you go and get them.
You got any defensive sleepers?
Not today. I gave you my big defensive sleepers. I will sing the praises of Asante Samuel every week.
Yeah, you gave me defense last week.
Until y'all pick, I'm telling you, I will sing his praises every week. But I'm just saying, yeah.
I'm gonna talk about some guys that probably not, especially people who are here, because they're small school and one of them, most of them is a West Coast guy. I'm gonna tell you who a guy I seen that I just thought was fabulous, and then his pro day, he kind of impressed me even more. Paulson Abdo, the cornerback out of Stanford. That guy would be equivalent to be Darrelle Revis when people are like, who? When the Jets picked him, they're like, who? Darrelle, who? Out of where? Yeah, you just don't know. Paulson Abdo is that dude. Everybody thinks that, what's his name? Lord have mercy. Played with the 49ers last year and from the Legion of Doom. They thought.
Yeah, you talk about Richard Sherman.
Also from Stanford. They said if Richard Sherman could not hold his jockstrap, I heard some media people say to Paulson Abdo. I'm like, Richard Sherman couldn't hold Paulson Abdo's jockstrap? I'm like, are you kidding me? You talking about Richard Sherman now? The guy been to several Pro Bowls. He's like, no, this kid can do it all. Can cover, can tackle, can read, can play the run. I'm like, okay. So I went and looked it up, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see. I understand what he's talking about. I'm watching some West Coast ball. I don't really get to see, we don't stay up late all the night and watch Stanford play all the time.
Right.
But the dude, he's a dude. Same thing when back in the day, I know a little before your time, people didn't know who, Ronnie Lott was either, and a lot of people didn't know, a lot of Polamalu and all these guys because they're all coming out west. But that dude can play, and somebody's going to reach and get him either late in the first or probably maybe in the he's not getting past the second round. I can guarantee you that now, and it depends on how to draft, But that guy to me is one of the big time sleepers. I know they've been projected, the Jaguars have been projected to take a safety. But that would be a guy I wouldn't mind them picking up. If they got him after I've seen him with my own two eyes and I've heard people sing his praises, okay, I can live with that. And I understand. And these scouts got to do their job. The other guy I want to talk about, but I'm going to talk about him first because he's a bigger school, is Terrence Marshall. Terrence Marshall was always been the third wheel out of those guys that was after that championship season. Terrence Marshall is the 6'2", 210-pound version of all the other guys that were at LSU. He kind of got overshadowed because of the other guys' number, but he was just as much in the mix. But going somewhere where he's going to have the opportunity to be the guy, he's going to thrive. I could see the Green Bay Packers picking him up because he fits that mold. He can be your number. He was LSU's number one last year, and before he decided to opt out, he was just a straight out beast. If it wasn't for him and his freshman tight end that they had, and that now is a Gator, they wouldn't have had any offense at all last year. And I think he's going to be one of the guys. I really, really, really like him. The other guy that I want to talk to you about is this young guy, another cornerback. He's a safety, but I don't think the Jaguars will pick him because, with these failed local guys, sometimes they might want to stay away from the local guys. But Richie Grant, I've seen him play for the last couple of years, the safety out of UCF.
Oh, yeah.
That's a dude.
Yeah.
That's a dude. And people here that, we don't follow, they might be following the Gators and Knowles and stuff, but, you missed out if you didn't see this guy play. And I think he can sneak into the first round. He's definitely a second round pick, but somebody who needs a safety, I could see him with the Legion of Boom. If that's one of the guys that they would bring into, because they've lost both of their guys, and they need a guy who can come back there and patrol that and be your enforcer. He can do all of that. So I can see somebody like the Seahawks or even the Steelers. I think he's actually projected to the Steelers, being in that. He's a Ravens type of guy too. Baltimore, that nasty. I'll do whatever you need to do, and I'm gonna punish you if you catch this ball, and he can cover. So he's one of my guys. I just think, wow, that's a guy that I think that's going to really, really, really do good. And I'm gonna go with one more. I like to always kind of end with the little guys. I don't think we mentioned it, but I wanted to mention him last week when we talk about these little small guys. Elijah Moore, the wide receiver from Ole Miss. That's a kid. Get some tape on him. He was their guy. And I think he's going to be a great slot receiver, and he's tough. If you go back and watch the Florida Ole Miss game, he is the one that actually scared the bejesus out of everybody during the game, because it's like Florida would score and Ole Miss would score, and they, who's that little number 11? Oh, he's got another one. Oh, there he goes for another one. Oh, there he goes for it. And I'm like, and people thought Florida, that was just a bad game that game. If Florida had a bad day opening the season. But no, that kid put up numbers all year long. Go check out his numbers. I don't want to put it out there right now because we're trying to get ready to end our show. But I want anybody who got some time, fans, check that kid out. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Ole Miss is going to be actually one of the little sleeping giants next year in college football, by the way, because I do like that. I like that Matt Corral, the quarterback they got there, coming back. But that's some of my sleepers. You got anybody else for me?
I'll save it for next week.
Yeah, we got to save you fans. Fans, we appreciate you joining us, man. We appreciate you going. Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Watch Game Film, Sheet Card, Team Sports Weather Rec. Also like to send some love to the Women's Tackle Football League, Laces Out Foundation, and the DEMP Project. And as always, my man, Andre L. Sullivan, Granville Moody Fowler, and you fans, I'd like to thank you for the show. And once again, hit that like button and also subscribe and hit our sponsors up. And we'll see you right here on next week on the Terry McGriff Show. Y'all be blessed.